into the match following an exhibition on Saturday that I hope the Rugby League officialdom has recorded and kept as an advertisement for a wonderful match against Canterbury Bankstown, with the Tigers winning 6 points to 0. Here's their full team readout now, and you'll notice that their captain is out, Neil Whittaker, but he's been replaced by our most exciting youngster in Benny Elias. It's players like him and tonight's captain Steve Martin, along with Wayne Pearce, Gary Jack and Gary Bridge, that makes Balmain a most exciting unit in 1982. They're coached, of course, by the New South Wales coach, or Sydney coach, Frank Stanton. Meanwhile, Brisbane, they've selected a team which includes only 4 players from last year's stateside. Looking at their full team readout, you'll find those players to be Cole Scott, Brad Backer, Mal Meninga, plus their captain and lock forward the very likeable and very talented Wally Lewis. A side coached by Arthur Beetson, who himself has something to prove, I'm sure, to the national...
Changing over with the kick-off to be taken by the Brisbane side. Mal Meninga will place the ball, and the referee, Barry Gomersall, is the correct pronunciation. Just repeating, if you just joined us, and George won their match against Queensland Country by 26 points to 10. After they led 13-10 early in the final quarter. Meninga's kick-off going down to the blonde-headed fullback Gary Jack, who displays immediately the Frank Stanton plan. Gary Thompson, the first Brisbane player actually tackled. And here's the first penalty of the match. Inside the 5 is the order against Balmain. Meninga kicking towards the Frank Burke stand side of the ground, and the tap will be taken 10 metres on Balmain side of the halfway. Trudgett takes the tap. Paul Kahn goes ahead, and a very heavy hit by Kerry Hemsley. I suggest to you that Kahn came out of that second best. Peter Griffiths, number 11, is a very stockily built prop. Ferguson, or Niebling it is, in 10. That's Ferguson, the bearded second rower. What a big night for Benny Elias. Commonwealth Bank Cup player of the year last year. And another penalty inside the 5 against Balmain. Steve Martin on camera looking at the referee as much as to say, you're joking, and there's that negative wave of the head from Steve, probably suggesting to his players, look, we better give this chap 7 or 8 metres and not 5. He certainly has laid his rules out very strongly in the opening second of the match, Barry Gomersall. But an excellent chance for Mal Meninga to bring first points to the Brisbane side. And though that shot shows some rather vacant grandstand scenes, it is a very big crowd here for a Wednesday night KB Cup match. One of the biggest crowds we've seen here at Lang Park in the years we've been coming here. That's the Frank Burke stand you see there. But behind our cameras, in the new grandstand from where we work, again is a sea of faces. I would think around 10,000 towards 12,000 people here probably. I may be way out. Meninga now, 20 metres out. High and perfectly directed. So Mal Meninga brings up first points for the home side. Brisbane 2, Balmain yet to score, and an appropriate moment to welcome into the commentary Keith Barnes.
Yes, and I think your advice of the Balmain side and their captain Steve Martin in particular is certainly well founded, because the referee has pinged them on 2 occasions now in the opening couple of minutes of the game for being inside the 5 yards, and with a goal kicker with the ability of Meninga in the opposition, they certainly have to be very wary.
That's a very classy start off by Balmain.
Yes, there wasn't very much in it either, was there? It was very, very marginal.
I wouldn't think Terry Regan would want it over. That's Gary Bridge being tackled about 26 metres out. Now Martin, who captains the side tonight. This is Webster. Martin again, he's working the blind to Wayne Wigham. Though Peter Grounds had a very big game, I thought, on Saturday. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. He had a very useful game. I'm sure Wigham would like to be playing outside Filipino. That's a very solid tackle on Peter Grounds by Paul Kahn. Here's Hemsley taking it up. Martin inside the 22. A wild pass for Gary Jack. Still on the attack, Balmain, though. And into touch. So this scrum is going down about 15 metres away from the Brisbane line. Brisbane 2. That goal being kicked by Mal Meninga, who in the State League up here, the Winfield State League, isn't it? The biggest supporter of rugby league in this state, I would imagine. 11 out of 21 attempts. 11 out of 21 Meninga in the State League matches played so far. So his goal-kicking record is around about 50%. Of course, Winfield not only big in Queensland, but now very much associated with the Premiership in Sydney, with it being, of course, called the Winfield Premiership, and the competition takes in the Winfield Cup as a coveted award, along with the J.J. Gilton and Shield. Benny Elias, I spoke about him earlier. He'd have some butterflies in the stomach, I would think. Taking that tackle, though, would help. I would think it would get rid of some of the butterflies. Just feeling the sting of the opposition. His bridge. Peter Grounds just lacking a runner. Nobody there. Martin, Webster. Good play. Wigham. Martin again. Hemsley. Last tackle coming up. Martin may bomb. They look to be onside. And I think it's a Brisbane ball. Terry Regan involved in that incident was Wally Lewis. I would suggest that he just overdid it a fraction. Oh, that's an awful mistake over there on the far flank by
Davidson.
John Davidson.
A lot of interesting clashes out there this evening, though, and the one between Wayne Pearce and Wally Lewis is going to be of particular interest. Lewis, a very established Australian international and a brilliant player for Queensland over the years, whereas Pearce is a young up-and-comer in Sydney, quickly making his mark as a likely candidate for the Australian side.
So that's the fourth penalty of the match. They've all gone to Brisbane. Scott, the fullback. There's Lewis in possession, Australian representative. That's Griffiths, the front rower. Sully. Gary Jack under it. Talented player, Jack. Picked up many of the Men of the Match awards on Saturday after the Canterbury game. Penalty to Balmain. Inside the 5, Brisbane.
Been a pretty bright opening to this game. There looks to be plenty of power and strength in the Brisbane pack of forwards, with Griffiths, a player that I haven't seen before, and we know, of course, the ability of Niebling. Paul Kahn is well known to Sydney viewers. Oh, that's another mistake by Balmain.
That's a nice piece of football, however, by Brad Backer. Colin Scott making another good run. This is Ferguson. Sully. Niebling. Webster in 13, the tackler. Trudgett. Meninga's put it down. Stevie Martin. Michael Schofield. Hemsley. Right on the halfway mark now. Martin looking for that touch line. Oh, it looks good. No, it's going to go into touch in goal. It'll come back to the 22 for the restart. Inside the 5. 5 won the penalty count in favour of Brisbane. 2-0 the scoreline in favour of the same team. Meninga takes the kick. Now, here's the tap being taken. Have a look at that for 10 metres. It's more like 15. So Balmain have really retired. They've got the message. Colin Scott now, who's made a couple of fine runs for Brisbane. This is Brian Niebling, talented player. Benny Elias in there trying to rake the ball free. Good quick passing there by Brisbane. Brett Ferguson dying with the ball eventually. Lewis looking for touch. Will find it. Good kick. A good kick by a good player. Just inside the 22. A scrum to form on the Balmain end of the ground.
Yes, he's certainly got all the skills, hasn't he? He's a very creative player. He can make a break himself. He can set up play for his teammates, and he's a very good tactical kicker and a fine defender. He's a complete footballer.
Steve Cherry. Right on the 22, just a fraction inside it. Meninga. Terry Regan has copped a smack in the mouth from one of his own players. Ferguson. This is Harry. Regan is still on the ground. If he's looking for a penalty, he's not going to get one, I can assure you, because I'm almost positive he copped it from one of his own players. Gary Thompson, 6 more tackles. Khan, Sully, that's play on. Chance on for Brisbane, no, he's recalled it. He's recalled it as going forward. To see Terry Regan standing behind Gary Webster, you may have caught a quick look at his face. He's got a bit of blood about. First decided scrum of the match, isn't it? Sorry. inside the 22-way line. Still Balmain's end of the ground now. Regan. Failing to get off the man tackled.
There's plenty of stick in the game in this early stage, and Brisbane looking particularly keen and fit, and plenty of ability in the side. I think they've got a big, strong pack of forwards. There's plenty of pace and ability in the back, and they've got to find full-back in Scott. Possession of the ball important, and they're containing Balmain pretty well in these early exchanges.
This is Wayne Miranda. Can I get some more volume, please? Hemsley. Ferguson. Number 10 for Balmain around the legs, Michael Schofield. Cherry, and that's the halfway line. Paul Kahn. It's Harry, the 5'8". Sully, Trudgett, Ferguson, and again Cherry, the centre. There's Trudgett. Good football. Sully, about 7 metres out from the 22, Balmain's end of the ground. Last tackle. A long pass from Wally Lewis to Paul Kahn. And Balmain have it with Davidson, but I thought for a moment he was calling a halt. It's play on. Jack. Oh, that's a good hard tackle.
Stepped right into Paul Kahn, didn't he?
He did indeed. Hemsley. Webster. Benny Elias. Davidson taking it but knocking on. And this scrum is midway between the 22 and halfway on the Balmain end of the ground. 2-0 in favour of Brisbane. Feet across against Elias. Steve Martin asking the question. At quarter time, Keith Barnes will be talking to that great South Sydney rabbit, John Sattler. Looking suntanned and like a very, very successful publican. That's Peter Griffiths, the front rower. Chance on for Brisbane. Paul Kahn. Two Balmain props tackling. Long ball cutting out. Lewis picking up Meninga. Very big, very strong. Peter Grounds has it though. KB Cup in the couple of weeks, including this Wednesday night, is like a travelling road show. Next Wednesday, we'll board our Ansett Jets again, taking the Parramatta and Penrith teams. Well, that's got to be a penalty, surely. He asked the question of his touch judge. And even the home crowd, I think, has disagreed with that ruling. But we'll be flying into Tweed Heads next Wednesday night for that local derby, as we refer to it in Sydney, between Parramatta and Penrith, being played just up the road a little bit at Tweed Heads. Martin finding touch this time, 5 metres on his own side of halfway. Wayne Miranda. 7-metre gain by Hemsley. Webster. Ferguson. Swinging arm from Hemsley. He may be fortunate the referee didn't see it. Griffiths. Lewis now. Dropped it onto that right foot and found touch again. So John Davidson, I think, will learn by now, or should have learned by now, that every time Wally Lewis gets it on 4 or 5, you must drop back. He's a most accurate kicker of the ball in general play.
Yes, Lewis is a very clever player, though, and also if Davison finds himself in a position or that he gets back too far, you'll find that Lewis will switch the ball out wide, and he's got a very talented player in Gary Thompson out on that right wing that's capable of taking advantage of any yardage whatsoever.
Scrums are 2 apiece at the moment. 3-2 now in favour of Balmain, a scrum win that was of little value. As we send down 2-0 to the Combined Brisbane side, and I would think a fairly happy Arthur Beetson at the moment. No one can deny, leaving the penalty count aside, that Brisbane had the better of the first 20 minutes. As Meninga starts, very deep kick-off to Gary Jack. He's not a very big kicker of the ball, Gary Jack. He had ample time to give that all that he had. And play is still in Balmain's territory to make the point even more strongly. Brett Sully. Busy halfback. That's Harry. And that's Griffiths now, who's had a particularly strong first 20 minutes, I thought. Harry again. Paul Kahn standing wide, Ferguson even wider, the second rower. Lewis, scheming, probing, almost getting possession for his side, but Regan has it for Balmain. I guess all of these players out there tonight, but in particular players like Wally Lewis, would realise that the Australian coach is sitting on the sideline watching. It'll either be Frank Stanton, I would think, or Arthur Beetson. That man tackled is Brad Backer. Brad, no newcomer to the game. Been around for quite some time now. This is Cherry, the centre. Ferguson, that's Harry, and now Niebling. Plenty of forwards in the backs.
It looks there's plenty of pace there too. They're clearing the ball very quickly, and as you said, Ray, they are utilising their big forwards out very wide.
Ferguson putting it down. It seemed rather simple, the error. Very much a voluntary error. Martin. Webster getting a lucky ball. Gary Bridge. Inside the 22. A bright young player. Steve Martin calling for a quick play the ball. Peter Grounds. 6 metres out now. Martin calling his backs deeper. Martin. Regan. Oh, my goodness, I can't imagine why you would do that.
Well, obviously he was kicking for Wayne Miranda because they were having a bit of a chat there, but there was no opportunity whatsoever of Miranda ever getting anywhere near that very badly directed kick.
Griffiths.
Looks a good player to me, Griffiths, in these early changes. He had the opportunity then of picking up supports if anyone had been coming onto the ball. He's always looking for the opportunity. He's very strong, very close to the ground, isn't he? But taken a bit of stopping by the Balmain defence at this stage.
Colin Scott plays with the Wynnum Manly club up here now. Wednesday night Challenge Cup viewers would remember Colin Scott probably first on their screens playing with the Queensland Countryside. Good pass by Trudgett, the hooker. But Manus Thompson, nicely tackled by John Davidson. Harry. Griffiths. Having a very, very strong game. I don't have to tell you again. You can see it all for yourself. As Keith said, he's built close to the ground. And I think it's probably an advantage for him too. He's, I'd go on record as saying one of the shortest prop forwards I've ever seen. And some of the big men that he's getting entangled with are having trouble getting down low enough to get at him. Seven on seven. Gary Jack. Peter Grounds now. Regan. A couple of good kicks by Terry Regan. This could be a try coming up. Trudgett. 3 metres out. Here's a chance. Harry. The dummy and a try. Have a look at that crowd. It's pretty easy to tell that Brisbane have scored a try. Bruce Harry, the try scorer, the 5'8", just a little slight dummy to Paul Kahn, and then he did it all himself for Keith Barnes to tell you about now.
Yes, he certainly did, and the player that has to shoulder all the blame as far as Balmain are concerned was Terry Regan, because we see him miss Harry very badly there, coming across at him perfectly position, and of course it was his failure to clear the line. The kick was charged down by Brisbane and put Balmain under a lot of pressure. So certainly Terry Regan, the bad boy as far as Balmain is concerned on that particular occasion. This Brisbane side looking good.
Steve Martin trying to have a settling chat with his players.
Yes, well, he's certainly got plenty of problems at the moment, Steve Martin, because the Brisbane side looks superior in all departments at this stage. Their big pack of forwards are outplaying Balmain. They're spinning the ball out wide. They've got their big runners coming onto the ball. They've got Meninga, who's very, very strong in the centre. They've got, I like the look at Thompson on the wing. He's only had one opportunity, but he looks as if he's got plenty of pace.
Meninga now, 10 metres in, 22 metres out. And so the scoreline remains Brisbane 5, Balmain yet to score. And we're 6.5 minutes gone, second quarter. I guess Brisbane people didn't see our telecast of Saturday's match, but I raised that question with you on Saturday about Terry Regan, and I wasn't knocking the lad.
I know that.
But he does make some rather costly mistakes.
Yes, well, he certainly made 2 on that occasion. We were talking about the number of penalties that he gives away, but on that occasion it was just bad play.
Right. He seems to me like a 2-year-old that hasn't been harnessed.
Well, the thing about him is he's a very involved player. He commits himself to a lot of work in both attack and defence, and he gets through a tremendous amount of work, the same player.
When I talk of a 2-year-old, don't get me wrong, I wasn't talking about human beings, I'm talking about a young colt.
I think there's plenty of young colts in this Brisbane side, because there's plenty of enthusiasm. They're committing themselves to the work that has to be done, and obviously Beetson has them really fired up for this occasion.
I think you're probably downplaying Balmain a little bit there, Keith, because there is a lot of young blood in your own team. This boy, Gary Bridge, this is a big occasion for a lot of these boys in the Balmain team. Don't worry about that. It'll be a nerve-wracking experience running out there for the Gary Jacks, the Gary Bridges, the Benny Eliases. Even some of your forwards, they haven't had much experience under the big time up here.
No, of course not. But, you know, if you're under the big time in Sydney too, and if you've got it, you'll succeed. And there's a lot of those players out there that you mentioned certainly have got it, and they will succeed.
Gary Bridge.
This Brisbane side looking good at the moment.
Wayne Pearce. Sound comments from Keith Barnes, but I doubt whether there would be an experience as awesome for a youngster coming out onto Lang Park before this obviously partisan crowd. Why wouldn't they be? Terry Regan. And this is the end of 6, so the scrum 15 metres out from the Brisbane line, 5-0 in favour of the home team, and Balmain's Benny Elias wins a scrum. Another one. Wayne Pearce to play it. Gary Jacks into the back line, but Gary Bridges run it. There's a chance he'll score on his own. Oh, how easy. Oh dear, that would make Arthur Beetson cry.
Yes, but it was a bit of very, very fine football by Gary Bridge when he's moved from the dummy half position. He skirted across the field, thrown the dummy to Wayne Miranda, and when it was taken by Backer, he showed good pace to get away from that Brisbane defence. Give Gary Bridge a lot of credit for that try.
Well, of course,
we'll see it again
by the
from
same
head on.
token, Keith, how often would you see a try scored like it?
Of course, in situations like this, he's crabbing across the field. He's got away from the halfback, Sully. He's thrown the dummy to get inside Backer, and of course then Sully didn't have the pace to get to him. Certainly slack defence as far as Brisbane was concerned, but a try that Balmain needed to get back into the game.
Gary Bridge, the try scorer. One of the players I was talking about in that run of play with Keith, for which it would be, I'm sure, a nerve-wracking experience, this match. I think he'd prefer to run onto the Sydney Cricket Ground or Leichhardt any day of the week and take on all the heavyweights in the world. But it was a tense dressing room before the match.
That's right, but after 30 minutes in a game, if you still have nerves in the stomach, well, you're never going to make it. Usually, once you get onto the field, the first 5 minutes is important. Once that's out of the way, it becomes another game.
Miranda now from about 6 metres in from touch. A difficult kick for him. It's getting away, but it's a goal. That's the equaliser for the Tigers. It might be just what they needed. Incidentally, don't forget the start of 10's World of Rugby League, the new Sunday morning league program, which I'll be hosting on Sunday morning, starting at 8:30 with the Commonwealth Bank Cup replay. And then that will be followed by highlights, of course, of St George and Queensland country. That's John Davidson. Gary Thompson, the tackler. Now Martin. And Hemsley. We'll have the team changes for the Sunday afternoon matches. A preview of the afternoon matches. Gary Bridge again. Wayne Pearce, sadly lacking a runner and a knock-on. And then, of course, the World of League on Sunday morning will have the replay of the Penrith-Canterbury game from the Saturday. A morning of league, which I trust you'll enjoy. And my first guest up on Sunday morning will be either Tony Melrose or Michael Patterson, one of the very good South Sydney players. Five all. 8 minutes to go, second quarter. Davidson. Martin. Schofield. Who, Keith, did you tell me is the son of Don Schofield?
Yes. Yes, from Cessnock.
Martin. Bridge. Very flash football. Terry Regan, I think, would rather wipe out the first 33 minutes of this match from his memory. He's had very little go right for him. Bruce Harry, the try scorer. Wayne Pearce across in cover, as he always is. Wally Lewis. Scott. Paul Kahn. Ferguson. Griffiths. He's created some problems out there tonight for Balmain, Peter Griffiths.
Balmain's defence working overtime at the moment, though. Young Schofield, the player you spoke about, getting through a lot of work.
As it had to on Saturday in the opening 40 minutes against Canterbury. I still think that was probably the highlight of Balmain's victory on Saturday.
Yes, it was.
Balmain, a scrum penalty.
Yes, possession starting to go Balmain's way now, and this is very important. Gary Bridge, a key player. We saw him score a fine individual try, and he's also made a couple of good breaks too, apart from that. It's going to be a good clash there between he and Bruce Harry, the Brisbane 5'8", who looks a very talented young player.
So there's that 15 metres that the referee is ruling, following the kick for line. He's getting the teams back not 10 but up to 15 metres for the tap. So he's certainly made a concentrated effort on getting them apart. Bridge, Wigham. That's the way to take the big man. One low, one high. Wally Lewis knew that, and he took him ball and all. Regan. That line you see is 10 metres out from the Brisbane line. Pearce, or Elias I should say. A cross kick by Martin. A chance for the Tigers. And what's the referee say? He's given a try. Scored by Gary Bridge. That's his second for the night.
Yes, it's always difficult to pick the actual player that scores from here, and whether there was any problems. But a well-placed kick from Martin. A host of players going up. Gee, it was very close, wasn't it? Because the two of them were there. We may get a better shot head on.
I'm sure you will.
Steve Martin puts the bomb up in the air.
So let's watch it closely as it comes off the body of a Brisbane player. And just under his body, I'm wondering what happened. Did he actually
ground the ball?
Ground the ball.
Certainly the Brisbane players, there were three of them there. They looked as if they had it covered. They were the closest players there, went up for it, but wasn't able to hold the ball, which went astray in the in-goal area, and Gary Bridge was awarded the try. And certainly a change has come over this game in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that again on the head-on if we can. I just want to see what happens as the ball seemingly disappears under the stomach area of Gary Bridge. Not that it matters, the scoreboard tells the tale, and Wayne Miranda has kicked another goal. So it's Balmain leading now 10-5 after being down 2-0 just 17 minutes back. Can we see it now? Here it is coming on down. Gary goes in, there's no doubt about it, he was first there. I think you'll find it's a try. Without much doubt. The ball was grounded with the downward pressure. Penalties in this quarter are quite significant. They read out 3-0 to Balmain as they put on another rush, and that's Wayne Wigham. Benny Elias across there to keep it in play. Now Martin, and put down by Harry. Kerry Hemsley injured in the back play. Pearce, Regan, that's Gary Jack. There's no need for him to take them on in that manner. He's got a big step. He'd be better off going around them. Regan now. Penalties 3-0 to Balmain, scrums 2-0 to Balmain in this quarter, so that speaks all languages, doesn't it? Wally Lewis, nice take. The two biggest losing margins in the KB Cup so far. Just updating that so that you'll know which two teams are to drop out at the end of the first round. Meninga. After tonight, a Queensland country on 16 points, and Illawarra with a loss of 27 points. Trudgett. I just feel that maybe some of the Brisbane forwards, whereas they were looking very good in the first 20 minutes, are starting to slow fractionally, and it could well come down that this match will be decided on sheer stamina.
Yes, well, I haven't got too many problems or doubts about the Balmain stamina. They'll go for the full 80 minutes. Possession of the ball, again, is going to be the key factor, and the Brisbane side look pretty good with the ball. Now, whether they're able to sustain their effort in defence the way the Balmain team did on the weekend, and certainly with the way they're capable of doing it tonight, well, only time will tell. But there's a lot of ability in both sides.
Ferguson. Niebling. Half time, I'll be talking with Johnny Sattler, and we'll be talking more about Johnny Sattler than anything else, just to bring you up to date on what the big man's been doing with himself lately. Peter Grounds. It's Miranda. Martin, Regan. As Keith said, he plays well above his weight, and the siren sounding. Half-time score, Balmain 10, Brisbane 5. In what to this point in time has been a most interesting game. Balmain coming back in the second quarter from 2-0 down and leading now by 10 points to 5 with 2 Gary Bridge tries. I can't see any changes. Beautiful night in Brisbane, and the match being played before quite a big crowd, as fullback Colin Scott brought it back on the first occasion. This is Brian Niebling, 10 metres out from the 22. Peter Griffiths. Trudgett. Scott making a mistake. Sunday's World of Rugby League will carry highlights of this match. We'll look at the tries and look at any try that should be nominated for the golden try. I hope to be able to talk to Frank Stanton and Arthur Beetson for the program on Sunday morning, plus the Penrith Canterbury replay, plus the Commonwealth Bank Cup, plus team changes for the afternoon's round of league in Sydney. A new program starting Sunday, and I trust you enjoy it. That pass may have been forward, the second last pass you saw, but if so, only a trifle. Thompson to play it now. Out on the full is the ruling. Colin Scott. Gary Jack across in cover. Harry through Lewis. It's the centre, Cherry, in possession. Cherry. Peter Grounds coming up with it, but it's a penalty. Well, he's got them for being inside the 5. My only comment there is the ball was out to approximately the outside centre before he actually called the penalty.
Yes, well, actually, he penalised Grounds as soon as he came into the play. He was prepared to allow the play to continue, even though he'd obviously decided that Grounds was inside the 5. As soon as Grounds came into the play, well, he decided to penalise him.
Obviously allowing the advantage to apply to the attacking team. By the same token, I feel if a player's inside the 5 metres, the referee's entitled to pick him off and penalise him immediately. The result would have been exactly the same as we're watching now. A penalty for Brisbane within close proximity to the uprights. Mal Meninga's made no mistake. A huge kicker of the ball. Wally Lewis congratulating Mal on his kick. Lewis, captain of the team tonight. I can't ever get out of my mind the number of times we've done matches with Wally Lewis involved where he's been sitting on the bench. And to my way of thinking, he's one of the brightest players to come out of Queensland in the last 10 years.
Yes, he's certainly a brilliant player with the ball. I think most of his game is built around attack, and a very creative player, and has a lot of strings to his bow. Probably I'd like to see him work a little bit more in defence.
Scott bringing it back. This man is Griffiths. Now Ferguson. Sully. Maybe customer. He's put it down though. It's a knock on. Neil Whittaker, by the way, wasn't able to make the trip to Brisbane tonight. Did somebody say his wife's gone into hospital to have a baby?
She's expecting a baby, yes.
Benny Elias coming out of his first major test very well. Gary Bridge looking for number 3. He's going to score it. Yes, it's a treble for Gary Bridge.
That was a brilliant try.
3 tries to the youngster in his first season of top grade.
Just watch it on camera here where he comes back inside Steve Martin, pushes off that player, skirts around the winger backer, pushes him off, and gets away from the fullback as well, or pushes him off, and that's a brilliant try.
It sounds like, to me, you're giving that a bit of a golden try Tynan Volvo lift.
Well, you're sitting back not saying very much. I just thought it was a brilliant individual piece of football.
I've been singing the kids' praises since the season started.
Of course you have. I've got to give you that. He's
won my Radio Man of the Match award on more than one occasion.
Wasn't that a brilliant try?
It was a brilliant try. A Tynan Volvo, possibly. We must never say that because look at this boy, the determination on his face. He looks a footballer. And let me tell you, I think he is a footballer. Second round of matches for these two sides. Brisbane will play South Island, New Zealand. And Balmain will play Eastern Suburbs. Miranda's got a 100% kicking record at the moment. This is his third attempt from way out there. High and short. Direction was perfect. The Tigers are leading by 13-7 now.
Actually, you've got to give a lot of credit there to Bridge for that particular try, but also you've got to be critical of the Brisbane defence, because when the halfback, Stevie Martin, moved away from the scrum base, he actually turned the ball back inside the Bridge, and there was no cover defence whatsoever there. The second rowers were still packed in the scrum, and I didn't see Wally Lewis.
Heavy tackle on Gary Jack. Up goes Schofield. Hemsley. Some people may have thought that Brisbane had been in camp and been together for some time. They haven't. They only came together on Sunday night and had 2 training sessions together. As Balmain get a penalty. Not getting off the tackle player is the ruling. Let's that make our penalties now. 8-7 to Brisbane, or 7-6 to Brisbane, isn't it? 8-7, I'm sorry. And the scrum count reads out at 5-4 to Balmain. Steve Martin finding touch, 10 metres on the Brisbane side of halfway. Well, there's a perfect example of this man is certainly trying to get them apart as much as he can. I don't know whether you could see on that picture those 2 sides being separated by the referee, but if he can get them apart a little bit extra, then it only makes for a more open game of league. Good trick if you can do it. Martin. Almost through, Steve Martin. Leading tonight and leading by example. Elias, just a short pop of a pass for Wayne Pearce. I don't think I've heard you become as excited about anything in rugby league as I just heard you a minute ago.
Oh, I thought that was a brilliant piece of individual play, and you know, I know you've been giving him raps, and he's a very fine young footballer, but to score the try he scored in that particular situation was very encouraging for his football future.
Wayne Wigham not quite so certain that all this praise on Gary Bridge is also spot on, as he took that pass and then took the tackle from Mal Meninga. It was a Bridge pass.
And of course I will admit that when he was wearing those black and gold colours, it made it just that little bit better.
Makes the adrenaline pump a bit stronger, I understand. Not retiring against the halfback. Is that the ruling? So Mal comes across to take the kick for line. Brisbane sponsored by Sander Finance. Ferguson. That's Brian Niebling. Wally Lewis. Colin Scott. That's he's offside. Or did we not see it exactly the way it appeared? I thought it came off one player's hand to a player in an offside position. Maybe he didn't touch it, that other player. Paul Kahn putting it down for Brad Sully. 6 more tackles is the ruling. Colin Scott. Straight line defence of Balmain's is looking good at the moment. Although I don't think they're standing back any further now than they were in the early part of the match, when they just repeatedly were penalised for being inside the 5. Hemsley. Benny Elias. Steve Martin. 8 minutes out from three-quarter time. The KB Cup. Terry Regan. Benny Elias. Through a gap. He held on too long, Benny.
Yes, he did. He had the support coming up on the outside, and he probably just needed that yard, didn't he?
Guess who it was on the outside, unmarked. Bloke called Gary Bridge. Steve Martin. Kerry Hemsley. Benny Elias. 18 years of age. Product of Holy Cross Ride. Wigham. Grounds. Beautifully passed to him by Wigham. And a solid tackle.
He's lost the ball.
Malmaninga. Lewis. That'll find touch.
He's certainly got great control, a very fine technical kicker. Each time he's kicked to the line tonight, he's known exactly where to place the ball and placed it to perfection.
Norm Carr is on, replacing Brett Ferguson at the 54th minute.
It's a fine replacement player, isn't it?
Norm Carr,
Norm Carr.
yeah. Former captain of this same side. He's gone into the second row. Sully. Harry. Meninga. Cherry. Wasn't a good pass from Mal Meninga. It was very high and left Cherry without any cover. Lewis! He must score! Yes! Fine player is he, Wally Lewis. He did it all himself. See it again.
Yes, he did, and in this particular area, I think Webster was looking to turn him back infield, which he did successfully, but of course the cover defence wasn't there, and as soon as Lewis saw the spot, he really accelerated and gave Gary Jack no opportunity whatsoever. We'll probably see a better head-on. What a fine player, a fine attacking player this Lewis is. Watch where Webster comes up quickly, turns him back infield. Hemsley didn't have the pace to get across. Lewis accelerated there, and with Gary Jack just that yard away from him, he was able to go across the lane, slide across in a diving tackle.
Wally Lewis, the try scorer. I think he felt that Gary Jack was going to get him short of the line.
Took off early, didn't he?
He did. He took off very early, and it was his sheer momentum that eventually carried both he and Gary Jack across the line. I find him an exciting player, Wally Lewis. There are some people who are a little bit sceptical when it comes to judging his defence rate. A big kick from Al Meninga. 13-10, Balmain leading. This will certainly make it very interesting. Oh, it's a horror kick. But the margin is a touchdown. 16 and a half minutes nearly gone. Third quarter. Queensland, of course, this year has seen for the first time the Winfield State League competition, which I'm told reliably has been an outstanding success, and that's good news for rugby league all over the country, not just in Queensland. Well, now, can Brisbane come back inspired by the Wally Lewis try? Paul Kahn looks like he's running with great inspiration.
Well, that was the lift that Brisbane needed, wasn't it? We've seen them come back from similar situations like this in the final quarter when they've pulled victory from seemingly impossible situations, and this last 20 minutes is going to be a cracker.
That was just a small passage of football. Lewis knocked on, but like a very professional workhorse, he made sure that he regained possession to make a knock-on of it. A lot of players you'll see knock on and then sort of throw their head in the air and couldn't give a damn. Good example for youngsters who may be still up watching the KB Cup. Reminding you that your Commonwealth Bank Schoolboys replay will start at 8:30 as of next Sunday, as the curtain goes up on 10's World of Rugby League for the first time this Sunday morning. Steve Martin. Incidentally, that's being produced by Alan Capp, who you remember from way back in AMCO Cup days, and it's nice to have him back aboard the Channel 10 Rugby League team. Gary Webster now. Martin. The bomb. And a penalty offside. Balmain player down injured. Can we see it on the head-on? Not now, we can't, that's for sure. Gary Thompson tackled inside his 22. Yes, we will have a look at that at three-quarter time if we might. Unsuccessful bomb attempts. Colin Scott now. Over the halfway. That's Cherry, the centre now. This crowd really warming to this Brisbane comeback. 13-10 down. And a chance here for a kick at goal. Opting out of it. Lewis. Long ball for Harry. I think with the breeze at his back, I would have given Mal Meninga another chance from out there where he's just failed miserably with the attempted conversion a few minutes ago. Griffiths now. 5 metres out from the 22. And put down by Norm Carr. Lewis, long ball. Heavens above, that's a long ball. Wayne Wigham takes it through on the boot. Saved by Gary Thompson. Colin Scott again. And that's the end of the third quarter. With 13-10 out of Lang Park, Brisbane. Balmain, the Tigers, leading 13-10. Let me have a look through these two sides, see if they've made any changes at the break. I don't think so.
Balmain certainly hasn't, and I know that it was Frank Stanton's intention to swing Percy Knight into the game.
Well, I would have thought that would have been a smart move. Although maybe Frank has said, why change up from a winning combination. Another kick by Wally Lewis. Gary Jack, one of the three blonde-headed excitement machines from Balmain. By Jove, this change from Manly to Balmain has done Steve Martin the world of good, in my opinion. That's him with it now. This is Hemsley. Don't get me wrong, at Manly, I'm not bagging them, but this change, I see it as being a shot in the arm for Martin's football. Suddenly he's become a very important member of a unit again, not a spare part, if you like. Wigham. I would like to have seen Philip Piner in this side tonight for Balmain. Would have been a very interesting confrontation. The pass is forward. Davidson knocking on, and the referee has ruled that it was a forward pass anyway. Wouldn't have been surprised had he have not penalised Balmain there for an intentional forward pass. Benny Elias has got another scrum win for Balmain. Wayne Pearce passes to Gary Bridge and on to Peter Grounds. There's a try coming. Oh, Wayne Wigham has made a complete meal of it. Two-man overlap. It was only a case of passing and catching.
Good pass from Grounds too. He positioned Wigham pretty well. Maybe a try wouldn't have eventuated because the Brisbane cover defence was steaming across pretty well, but it was a dangerous situation.
Well, that's a funny-looking scrum. They both packed down and charged, and neither front row linked up. A penalty to Balmain. Against the Brisbane pack. For not binding in square. "18 minutes of the final quarter to go. I must admit, at the start of this match, I thought this referee was going to give the Balmain side a complete carve-up, but statistics tell the story. He's been more than fair with the Tigers probably since the end of the first quarter. Oh, Webster's left it behind as though he didn't even know that the ball was coming. Niebling has it for Brisbane now. halfway line on your screen. There's the Brisbane chant. A sense that the home side can come from 13-10 down and take it out. Meninga. Gary Jack now gets a nice ball. Michael Schofield.
He's had a strong game, young Schofield, hasn't he?
He's exuberant.
Got through a lot of work and committed himself to a lot of work.
Martin. Regan. Elias. That's one position that Balmain has got no worries in when Neil Whittaker decides he wants to hang the boots up. Regan! That was simply a case there of a man running out of partners. Bridge. Grounds. Scrum to go down just inside the Brisbane 22.
Bridge copped a pretty late one on that occasion, ironed himself right out.
Gary Bridge, the scorer of 3 tries, getting some attention. Touch judge report. I'm not sure whether it's to do with Wally Lewis or not. Wally might be in there as captain at the moment. Whatever it was, it certainly wasn't a very heavy issue. Lewis grabbing a few moments to talk to his players, trying to gee them up. A couple of good Winfield Premiership matches in Sydney at the weekend. South and West will be a beauty. My radio match, by the way, on 2KY. I'm doing the Parramatta Newtown game. Another penalty to Balmain. Differential. Manly face Cronulla. Saturday's game, Penrith Canterbury. But on radio, I'll be doing that Parramatta Newtown game, the rematch of the grand finalists from 81. Miranda. That's Kerry Hemsley. Martin. Webster standing like a colossus there for a few moments. Hemsley. 6 more, he says. Play on for Michael Schofield to go ahead. 6 metres out.
We haven't seen Elias throw his dummy tonight yet.
And he's indicated 6 more tackles again. There's Elias with that dummy predicted by Keith Barnes. Martin, Bridge, scorer of 3 tries. Wally Lewis is down, or is up now, but was crawling along the ground. In pain with a leg injury. Benny Elias. Wayne Pearce. Regan's put it down for Mal Meninga. Now Cole Scott. Again, a reminder that next Wednesday night, the KB Cup presents Parramatta and Penrith live from Tweed Head. Khan. Tackle by Steve Martin on the Brisbane 22 line. Last tackle for Brisbane. Wally Lewis. That's Sully, the half. This is Meninga, who's been fairly well contained tonight, Mal Meninga. We haven't seen him make any of those block-busting runs that we know that he certainly can.
No, I just don't know whether he projects himself into the attack as much as one would like him to. And I suppose the same thing could be said about Paul Khan, because he's also a player with tremendous ability.
Offside at the scrum, or offside in relation to the scrum was Peter Grounds, the centre. Brett Sully is off. Mark Murray has gone on, representative player. Peter Griffiths goes up to the halfway line now. 13-10, Balmain leading, 12 minutes to go. Murray. Colin Scott's put it down. Balmain in possession now. Played by Schofield. Given to Martin. Now Hemsley. Martin again. Switching it. Wayne Wigham. Midway, 22, halfway. Brisbane's end of the ground again. Martin blindside. Wayne Pearce, good ball. Martin. Gary Bridge. Wayne Wigham. Gary Jack. 32 metres out. Last tackle for the Tigers. Stretching it to the right now was Regan.
Percy Knight warming up on the sideline, so obviously Stanton's going to make a change.
There he goes, Percy Knight into the play for Balmain now. Peter Grounds has been replaced. So Knight will go to the centres, I would think. Percy Knight back after suspension, hanging over from the 81 season. Another scrum win to Benny Elias. 10 minutes to go now. Balmain leading by 3. Bridge. Percy Knight, first touch of the match. When is a player held? That's the question I ask. Talk about giving penalties for players not getting off, players that are held and tackled, and players seemingly are allowed to fight on and then allowed to release the ball, and the referee says play on. It's not just this referee either.
There's been a lot of that this evening though, hasn't it?
Yeah, but there's been a lot of it in rugby league in the last few weeks. You know, I asked the question, when is a player deemed to be held or his progress effectively halted? There seems to be about 4 or 5 laws in existence.
Oh, good pass.
Colin Scott running off a Paul Khan pass. 32 metres out from their own line. Man looks like a new face. Grenke on for Griffiths at the 71st minute. Paul Khan. My thanks tonight to Andrew Giorgio, our statistician, who's kept us abreast of all the information on this match. Nine metres on the Brisbane side of halfway, this very important scrum packing. In fact, all scrums important at this stage, with the match delicately poised at 13-10. And time out, says referee Gomersall. What do they call this? Johnny Sattler, you remember what they call this? The 69 Balmain sit-down, isn't it? Arthur Beetson sitting over there, he'd know too, wouldn't he? Keith?
Yes, so he'd probably have an idea.
Well, Sattler was involved in that match, I'm almost certain. Were you not, John? So there's plenty of people watching this match with varying opinions of what's happening out there in the centre at the moment. Keith Barnes, oh, you're going to say something?
Well, Webster's obviously suffering from cramp.
There must have been a lot of cramp in 69, was there?
I don't think so. I thought we were far the better side.
All right. Regan. Percy Knight. Beautiful dummy, and then a great sprint by Benny Elias inside the 22. Oh, well, he's obviously being held in the tackle, surely. Steve Martin, I think, would have pulled his hair out of his head if he could have. I don't know whether he was arguing with the referee or saying, Benny, why did you do that? After a great run. The same question was asked only about 5 minutes ago. But there we saw it applied. Here's the incident. Tackle. His progress obviously has been halted. And why Benny would get up and run, I can only say that an 18-year-old who's just been the Commonwealth Bank Cup Superstar of the Year in his very first grade match might have just turned the lights out for a moment. That man is Trudgett, the hooker. Mark Murray. That's Bruce Harry. Almaninga. And the referee has ordered a knock-on and a scrum. Midway, 22, halfway. Balmain's end of the ground.
The pressure starting to mount, isn't it, as the Brisbane side realise there's only 7 minutes remaining to pull this game out of the fire. They're throwing everything at Balmain now. Balmain defence has stood up exceptionally well.
Penalty.
This is going to allow Brisbane to get right into a real attacking situation, paint themselves right close to Balmain's line.
Now, Brisbane mounting one of their last assaults. That's Grenke now. Is also on for Niebling, and Knight is on for ground. Paul Kahn. Grenke now. Last tackle coming up for Brisbane. Colin Scott. Did he get it down? No. Again, Balmain calling for attention. There on the top right-hand corner of your screen, taking an anxious look at the scoreboard and the time. 5 to go. What a scrum. Balmain's ball. Gary Jack came up with it. Steve Martin's lost it. Oh, very good chance for Brisbane now. Wally Lewis tries to go himself. What's Regan doing? Basically had gone to sleep on top of him.
Yes, you haven't got any argument from me.
Beg your pardon?
I say you haven't got any argument from me.
Oh, it had to be a penalty.
Of course it did.
He's obviously decided to give away 2 points, or hoping that Brisbane will take the shot for goal.
I think young Hardwick is on there too in place of Webster.
Mark Murray now. Well, this will disappoint Terry Regan. I think he obviously thought that Brisbane would take the kick for goal, but they're not taking any part of it. Gary Grenke has taken it back within 5 metres of the line. Oh, Benny Elias has got the ball for Balmain. That was a costly mistake by Gene Miles. Percy Knight. Balmain just have to settle it now. 3 minutes to go. 13-10 to the Tigers. To be played by Elias. Gary Bridge. That would be, I think, tackle number 4. Elias again. Steve Martin. The torpedo punt. Let's get out of here. Put down by Scott. Oh, knocked backwards, said the referee.
Oh, here's danger. Gee, I thought they had a chance on that left-hand side.
Bridge the tackler. What a finish. 2 minutes to go. Melvin Inga. Bending player off after player. That's 3. Or was it 4?
Steve Martin now 2.
This referee keeps putting his hand up, indicating that he's nullified the tackle count. And for the life of me, on occasions, I can't understand why.
It's difficult, isn't it? Steve Martin lying prone.
What he's been doing?
Yes, all the time. He's done it consistently throughout the match.
I don't know whether he's actually restarting the tackle counter or is it just a signal of his own. I'm absolutely baffled by this signal that he keeps
indicating the tackle count starts again, doesn't he?
Well, that's the way I would read it in Sydney, but I'm not sure that's what he's doing.
Calling for a stretcher or something for Steve Martin here.
Steve Martin is...
no, it's not Steve Martin.
Is it not Steve?
No.
Is it Gary Bridge then? Surely it must be Gary Bridge if it's not Steve Martin.
Yes.
Who's injured off screen. You can't see it, but the trainer is anxiously waving for a replacement and I think a stretcher. Hemsley in possession. A minute to go now. And it would seem the Tigers are home. Wayne Pearce. A good performance by the Balmain side, but this Brisbane team has given a gutsy exhibition. Martin. One thing's for certain, that this Brisbane side will be back on our screens again. Through to the second round, they'll play South Island, New Zealand. They certainly won't be eliminated from the 18-team cut. Gary Bridge going off in a very, very sorry state. He's not at all well. Seconds remaining. Well, this match has had everything.
Yes, it certainly has. We've had some great attack. We've had some great individual play, particularly from the player that's being taken from the field, young Gary Bridge, and the defence from both sides has been tremendous. It's been played at a great pace. There's been some torrid forward clashes. It's been played in a very good spirit.
So Brisbane will live to fight another day, that's for certain. And on this showing, they're going to represent, I would think, a very strong chance of making the quarterfinals with that match against South Island, New Zealand. A chance for them to build up a very high score, unless, of course, the New Zealanders come back with a much stronger force than we saw last week. As the siren sounds, it's all over. Balmain defeating Brisbane by 13 points to 10. I'll be back in just a moment, announcing the voting and the Man of the Match award, and of course updating the Singapore Airlines Superstar Award for tonight's match.
You enjoyed tonight's KB Cup. I certainly did. It was a match with a difference, as I said just before the closing of the game itself. A match that had a little bit of everything, didn't it? Some outstanding performances by certain individuals, sparked, of course, by some controversial moments, and a thoroughly enjoyable match to watch here at Lang Park. Still one of the really great arenas for rugby league anywhere in the world. The voting for the Singapore Airlines Superstar, 1 point went to Wally Lewis, the lock forward and captain for Brisbane. 2 points to Peter Griffiths, the prop forward for Brisbane. And 3 points, a man of the match, went to Gary Bridge, that very fine young prospect at 5/8 for Balmain, who was, as you saw, taken from the field seconds before full time. I haven't been able to get a report on him. I can only simply say that I hope he's okay, and I know you feel the same way. Gary Bridge, man of the match. He wins the prize from Electronic Sales and Rentals and National Panasonic, a fine prize for a fine young player. In the meantime, that's all from Lang Park. A reminder that next week...